coming to you from Jezero crater on the surface of Mars. This is Mr. C.
Well, 8th grade, happy downhill day to you. And got a few SSRs that I wanted to show you from my walk this morning. Nice going, Lord, on those roses. By the way, remember, every living thing is made of DNA, right? So there ain't no way living things are forming by themselves, because DNA ain't forming by itself, because it's like over the top as far as complexity. Anyway, this is a Mr. Lincoln rose. Not only does it look beautiful, but it has a wonderful fragrance. Some of you might have Mr. Lincoln roses at your house. Raise your hand, how many of you have Mr. Lincoln? Oh, wait, I can't see your hands. Okay, but Mr. Phillip could. So, Mr. Lincoln. Then I wanted to show you this, just as a reminder. If you see these babies, you don't have much time. They're blooming not much longer. But I've told you about it before, 5 points for spotting a jacaranda tree, jacaranda. Jacaranda, jacaranda. I saw a bunch on my walk this morning. Gorgeous, just beautiful purple flowers. They're right now still blooming. I apologize for my voice, allergies. Sorry about that. Makes my voice super duper scratchy. So anyway. So, Mr. Lincoln, I wanted to show you, and all of that. I'm looking right now at a video that I'm going to show you of, let's see, where is it? Here it is. How long is it? It's about 3.5 minutes, and you're going skydiving today. So, I'm going to have you go skydiving. So, remember you have a test on Friday, right? And the different terms will be up in RenWeb tonight, by tonight. They'll be listed under homework notes. So all of the different terms. So anyway, you're going skydiving. This is called Skydiving Basics. So, and the reason I'm showing it to you, because of free fall. Now, will these skydivers be free falling? Nope. Why not? Because it's not just gravity that's acting as a force on them. What is it? The air. The air is pushing on them and slowing them. Nonetheless, they'll get going 120 miles an hour. So if they're just kind of sitting in a what's called sit flying position, they get going 145 miles an hour. If they're just head down, they're 125, 135. Can't remember exactly. You'll see. So when I was skydiving, when I went out with a dive master, we got up to 120 plus. So, and you know what the curious thing is? You don't really feel it. It's not like the ground is rushing up at you, because we pull our chutes at like 4,500, almost a mile high. So, the only way you know you're traveling fast is the air on your skin pushes your skin back like this. Maybe you notice that. Watch that. Watch the skin on the faces of the skydivers in your skydiving video. So, by the way, there's a drop zone, a jump zone down at Eloy, Arizona, about an hour south of Phoenix, probably an hour and 30 minutes from where you live, if you live in the North Valley. But it's fun to go down there and just watch the skydivers come in, watch them swoop as they come in and then go sideways. I'm going to show you some swoopers tomorrow, some swooper skydivers. So remember, my daughter did all of this for a long time, so I went down to Eloy many times to watch her skydive. So anyway, not free falling. Now Felix Baumgartner, on the other hand, he was free falling because he was so high there wasn't any air to be a force on his body. That's why he got going 767 miles an hour. Wow. Anyway, so look forward to that video So you will see that video in a little bit. So I wanted to show you this. On the test on Friday, I'm going to ask you for the 4 kinds of friction. So there's static friction, right, when things aren't moving. This would be static friction right here, right now. But eventually, it's going to, when the car gets going, it's going to be what kind of friction? Rolling friction. Oh, a tire and a wheel, yeah, rolling around, yeah, rolling friction. There's fluid friction, like through the air or through water. So anyway, this is a way to increase friction, to increase it. The treads grip the road, especially new tires. Now if you're riding in a car that has bald tires on it that have been worn smooth, not so much. You're going to get sliding friction out of the deal if you brake pretty hard. So another kind of friction. So anyway, this would be right now static friction, but then rolling friction. And that would be increasing the friction. And here's a way to decrease the friction in the engine of a car. To decrease the friction. The purpose for oil, if you've ever seen your dad or mom putting oil in the car, changing the oil in the engine, it lubricates the engine parts that are sliding over each other and producing heat. With friction, you often get heat. Do this and you can prove it. Here's some sliding friction. So put your hands together, do it, your hands together, and rub them. Rub a little harder, not too hard, a little harder, little harder, little harder. You feel the heat being generated. You can please stop. I don't want you to get a blister. By the way, the reason you get blisters like on your feet, like if you're breaking in new shoes, new running shoes, it's because you generate heat and there's too much friction, too much sliding friction between the shoe and your skin on your foot, and it produces a blister. So not fun. So anyway, motor oil reduces friction. Your running shoes increase the friction. If you're in track, your spikes increase the friction. If you do football or soccer, your spikes increase the friction. Grip the surface of the field or basketball court better. So you can cut and turn and do all your moves and all that kind of stuff. Okay? So anyway, so I think that's about all I wanted to show you off of there. Now, I want to tell you about your homework. How are we doing time-wise? Good. I want to tell you about your homework. So this will go in your lesson planner. It'll be in RenWeb as well. So page 64 and 65. There's a couple of articles there. I want you to read the articles. And then I want 6 neat, complete bullet facts per article. Okay? So, and you have homework today to turn in. Make sure you're turning in. Always make sure your name, date, period's on your homework. So name, date, period. Or if I get a paper with no name, you know what I do. I deduct a point. So anyway, name, date, period, upper right-hand corner. So page 64 and 65. Read the 2 articles. And 6 neat, complete bullet facts on each one. I always like it when students skip lines on those bullet facts. It just looks better. Okay, it just does. Okay, I just wanted to mention one more time just Newton's laws in relation to safety. You know, like when you're riding in a car, and of course when you're riding in an airplane, you've got to make you keep your seatbelt on. So on long haul flights like down to Australia, if they can't see that your seatbelt is buckled, they'll wake you up. Let's say the AC is really cold on the plane and you've got a blanket around you and you're asleep. They can't see if your seatbelt's, or it doesn't look like your seatbelt's hanging down over the seat. They'll wake you up and make you put it on. Reason why? They're worried about turbulence, and if the plane all of a sudden jumps up, your seatbelt's not on, so you'll keep going up and hit the ceiling. It happens. So that's why the seatbelt thing. And that's why race car drivers wear those super duper shoulder harnesses, because they're going super duper fast. So if they were in a wreck, the harness has got to hold them in and overcome Newton's first law of motion, or law of inertia. Remember inertia? Inertia is a resistance to change. So if you're moving really fast, okay, there's going to be a resistance to you slowing down. So that's inertia. So roller coaster, if you turn really fast on a roller coaster like you will today on Intimidator, you're going to be on Intimidator, I'll show you in a minute. Intimidator is going to change direction really quick a few times, and if you didn't have the bar in there, you'd go flying and it wouldn't be pretty. So anyway, that's what I don't like about roller coasters. Yeah, feels like you're coming out of your seat. And no thank you. So anyway, okay, let me tell you about your test. So the stuff I mentioned right now will be on the test, I guarantee. 4 kinds of friction on the test, I'm telling you. So sliding, rolling, static, and fluid friction. Okay, and then a push or pull is what? That would be a push or pull, a force. Push or pull, that's a force. How do you tell you're moving? The reference point behind. So you move in front of the reference point. So you move against something. What is the formula for speed? Distance over time. Formula for speed. What is acceleration? Speeding up, slowing down, or changing direction. Acceleration. Laura's major point in our last little talk, I'll ask you that you can do anything you put your mind to. If you practice a lot, you'll improve a lot. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You'll improve. You can do. So, proteins. What do proteins do in your body? You already know everything. They do all the jobs in your body. Tens of thousands of different jobs. How many different building blocks of proteins are there? 20 amino acids. But the reason they're so complex, you reuse them over and over and you have long chains. So 150 amino acids is not a long chain. That's just a small to medium chain of amino acids making that protein. A long chain would be 34,000, as I've said before. So anyway, I'll ask you questions about proteins and amino acids and all of that. I'm going to ask you about the Mars helicopter. What's it up there to do? Fly, not crash. And what else is it doing? Taking pictures of the surface of Mars as it flies over. Okay? So Newton's first law, again, an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by a force. An object in motion will stay in motion in a straight line at the same speed unless acted upon by a force. The second law, F equals ma. Force equals force, that's an F, equals mass times acceleration. So the greater the acceleration, the greater the force. The greater the mass and acceleration, multiply them together, times each other. Oh boy, the force goes way up. Big push or pull. And then Newton's third law. So you're not going to blow a balloon up again, are you? Oh, sure. Why not? Newton's third law. For every action one way, there's an equal and opposite reaction the other way. And then there's Newton's law of gravity, which says every object in the universe attracts every other object. Universal law of gravity. And then what are the two variables that affect gravity between two objects? How close they are to each other, and their mass. How many atoms are made up? Remember, mass is how much matter something is made of, and your weight is how hard you're pulled by a gravitational object. So on the Earth, you're pulled at a 1.0 gravitation. On the Moon, it's 0.16. So if you weighed 100 pounds on Earth, you'd weigh 16 pounds on the Moon. Does it mean there'd be less of you? No, you'd have the same mass. You'd have the same amount of atoms. But it's just pulled less because the Moon doesn't have that much mass compared to the Earth. Okay, what else on here? I did that. Okay. Let's see. I'll ask you about constellations again. Just trying to get you to look at the constellations for 15 points. So, okay, I've done that already, done that. Free fall, I'll ask you about it. An object's in free fall if the only force acting on it is gravity. What? Gravity. Oh, yeah, that. So gravity. It's free fall then. So Felix Baumgartner was in free fall. The skydivers in your skydiving video, not in free fall, because it's gravity and there is fluid friction on them. Momentum, like in the Unstoppable movie, the more velocity an object has, the more momentum it has as it's moving, and the more mass it has. So mass times velocity, and they go way up, and you have a tremendous momentum going. That train just freaked me out, the way they did that. They did a great job of making the movie. It just looks scary to me. I wouldn't go see the movie. I don't know. It's just weird. Just seeing it go that fast, and then the way they tried to do the high drama. We have a trainload of kids coming into the city. Oh, great. And the runaway train is going to smack. Oh, great. So, anyway, no thank you. Didn't care to watch it, but the trailer is good to show, to get across the idea of Mo, aka momentum. Mass times velocity. Okay, so I wanted to demonstrate, did I bring it in? Yeah, I did. I wanted to demonstrate centripetal force. I didn't have a chance yesterday. Centripetal force is when something is going around like this, and it constantly moves toward the center, like this is doing right now. It's what's happening with gravity. Right now, the Earth is being pulled toward the sun, but it never gets pulled into the sun. For this reason, centripetal force. Centripetal means center seeking. So, if an object is no longer pulled in, it'll just fly off in a straight line at the same speed. What law would that be? Newton's first law. So if it was going around like this, and then the gravity was turned off, pretending my hand was gravity, at what point it was let go, it would fly off in a straight line at the same speed. What do you call this kind of force? Centripetal, for center seeking. And that was fun. And centripetal force is the reason that satellites stay up in space. A satellite is constantly falling toward the Earth. Why doesn't it ever fall into the Earth? Because the Earth is curved, so you get it going the right speed. It's just the right speed. So the balance between its speed and the gravity of the Earth cause it to be pulled in, but because the Earth is round, it keeps missing the Earth as it goes around the Earth. Isn't that cool? Now, you've got to dial in the exact speed. That's why the Earth, just right speed around the sun, not an accident. The sun, just the right speed around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Those speeds are not an accident. They had to be precisely dialed in. And when you put a satellite in orbit around the Earth, it's got to be precisely put into orbit at a certain speed, about 17,000 miles an hour. So it will continue in orbit around the Earth and keep falling toward the Earth, but not get closer to the Earth, because it keeps missing the Earth because the Earth is curved. It's round. So, okay. You're going to see a video today of Intimidator. And we're continuing to log in the data on these roller coasters. So you're going to see 2 videos today, Intimidator, and then you're going to go on a little skydiving trip. So, and anytime Mr. Phillip has a little time at the end, many of you are going to be conscientious and make sure that you've answered the science questions, activities in your journal, because you're going to hand them in 2 weeks from today on the 19th of May. So make sure you get her done. And also the microscopes, a little sketch of each one and a label of what you're looking at. Folks, they're really cool, those microscope slides. They are so cool. I purposely picked the ones that were so cool. That's why I picked them. So, you're just saying that. No, I love to still look at them, and I've looked at each of these slides tens and tens of times, and it's still fun to see them. Anyway, and they glorify God, like in the case of the amoeba or the paramecium that are dividing. How do they know to divide? How do they have just information built in to divide and make the exact same kind of one cell? Isn't that cool? Way to go, God. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Phillip. He's going to take you skydiving, and they're not free-falling, remember, because they've got the air acting on them, slowing them down, and gravity. They'll still get going 120 to 150 miles an hour or more. So, and then you're going to watch Intimidator. You're going to get going 90 miles an hour on Intimidator. So, and then you've got your homework to do. So your bullet facts on those 2 pages. So that'll be up on RenWeb. Okay, Mr. Phillip.